Okay, it's December 19th, 2020, about 4:26 in the morning. My name is, for those of you that don't know, my name is Martin Greg Feynman. I'm the lead investigator of UOR Investigations. And I formed this team. It took me about 4 years to build the idea and foundation of the project, creating all the forms necessary to be able to, do this, and be able to create forms to be able to write reports. You can't just write a report on a blank form. So created all that, and then I picked up a psychic. I picked up Mama Sue, guitarist, and she just fell right into this team. I was given a number, and I called her and sold my idea to her, and she wanted a big part of this. And she said that she was psychic ever since she was 2, and she tucked it away until she was 30. She saw things that frightened her. She didn't understand. And God had a conversation with her. He says that He gives people free will even in death. And there's people that haven't crossed over in this realm that needs to cross over. And I need you to help me do that, cross my children into heaven. So that's what she did prior to me. And she's crossed over about 20 to 30 spirits in houses. That's all. And she wanted she wanted a part of this. So the day that I met her was the day she did the reading out at Mutilation Ranch for the first time, the first reading. And she admitted to me on the way out she didn't know anything about cattle mutilations, anything about aliens, Bigfoot, cryptids, all that stuff. Not exactly in those words, but pretty much. And since the day that she went out and do this reading, a link was established. And it was established not only with her, but with me, and I just didn't know it. Now, a lot of you don't know me. Things that I'm going to say, they're going to sound out there. I mean, yeah, they're going to sound way out there. Wow. I was a paramedic for 30 years. I was a cop for nearly 15. Deputy coroner for a lot of years, about 14. And I'm all about the facts. I went into this investigation to uncover the facts on cattle mutilations. And I wanted to approach it in a way that no one else had. Everyone that's an expert, they're experts because they've been out on a lot of cattle mutilations. And what they got is basically a cow. And I'm not putting them down at all. I'm not saying that they didn't do a good job investigating or anything. I'm not putting them down at all. I'm just saying that what they were doing is they were investigating the mutilation itself after the fact. And, when I was a cop, I was always proactive. I was a really aggressive paramedic. I owed it to my patients, and I owed it to the community to be proactive and aggressive. So I wanted to do something different. I formed a theory, and I wanted to investigate these mutilations differently. I wanted to pick which one was next to be killed. And the reason I thought I could do that is because they're being marked And there's markings only visible with a black light on a lot of these cows. I was on several mutilations when I was a sheriff's deputy, and I later found out a couple of them had markings only visible with a black light. It told me that they're that whoever's doing this is in contact with that cow prior to killing it, so they can see it at night. They're marking it so they can see it at night. And it brings up another question: what are they doing to that cow? And what is it about that cow that they chose that cow? Question. A fact of the mutilations is that these cows that have been killed unusually test very high in radiation. The type of radiation that was found on these cows were the type of radiation you see on meteorites. Now, that kind of answered a question for me, because my question was, were these cows being irradiated due to advanced procedures being done? Because, you know, they're finding these cows with their reproductive organs and heart, lungs sometimes missing. And all these are done with laser incisions and precise cuts, and it's something that would take humans from the night into the daylight hours to be able to do. And they would need a lot of lighting and all this other stuff. It's just not impossible. What I wanted to know is if it was being radiated due to the procedures, or is it being radiated because it's in close proximity to something else that's radiated? And when I found out what type of radiation was, it told me that it's more than likely the cow's being irradiated because it's in close proximity to something else that's radiated. So I thought, you know, when they go to mark these cows, they can't help but leave trace radiation behind. So my theory was, I'm going to go out, I'm going to find these marked cows, and they're probably going to test positive for radiation. That's the theory. And I had to sell that theory. You know, I had to contact ranchers in the area that's had the problem, and then they have to allow me to investigate their ranch. And these cattle ranchers, they got other lives, they got other things going on. They're not just cattle ranchers, and they don't really have time. And the ones that have had these mutilations, they've been interviewed by all sorts of paranormal investigation shows and National Geographic and that kind of stuff, and probably don't want to be bothered with, you know, an investigation, but who knows? So I got a hold of this rancher by the name of Mike Duran, lives west of town in Trinidad, and he has had 2 mutilations. I believe one was in '94 and one was in '96, I believe. One of them was found to have missing parts, but also the shell of the horns had been removed and were 10 yards from the cow. The shell of the horns, not the whole horn, just the shell. All right, I call that an Easter egg. All right, what an Easter egg is to me is a what the hell did they do that for kind of thing. You know, like that. Does it make sense? But it's an Easter egg. It's for us to find and figure out. So, I get a hold of, you know, here's the thing, Mike Duran, very busy guy. I've yet to get out there on his ranch, and I need to. But I got a hold of this rancher who gave me a name of a guy who's had the problem, said, you need to call this guy. So I did. I called this guy. His name was Tom Miller. Tom Miller's 82, I believe 83 years old. And boy, he's a rancher and he's a worker. And he is the most gentle soul you'll ever meet. Most kind, generous, giving man that I've ever seen. You know, just a very honest, hard-working guy. And I got a hold of him, left a message, and he called me back, and I talked to him, gave him my background and everything, told him my theory. And he was all for it, man. He wanted to start right away. And, man, I had to kind of jump on it. Well, I'd had a psychic, and I'd already got a hold of Sue. And I called her and said, hey, man, I need you out here. I can't tell you what you're going on, but, you know, can you come out here? So that's how that kind of happened. So I go out and I meet this rancher, you know, and he tells me on the phone he's had 15 mutilations. And he's had National Geographic Channel, the History Channel, the Ancient Aliens, all these shows out there. And I told him that, you know, what I wanted to do was investigate these in a way that have never been investigated to get new answers. Because I wanted to give him answers that he has never gotten before. And I thought with the psychic I may be able to do that. Okay, so I go out to his ranch and I ask him if he can remember any of these cattle mutilation sites, because I'd like to get Sue, Mama Sue, to the site of one. And he said, yeah, I could take you one where the bones are still there. So he did. And we walked down to this little trail, and there's some bones, but they'd been scattered about, and he pointed about 50 yards away, about 50 yards west of our position, where the cow was actually found, kind of southwest of our position. While I was out there photo logging his cows, he mentions to me that Chuck Zukowski had found, after Tom had mentioned a couple accidents out on his ranch, or on this highway that crosses through his property. He's got a 1 mile stretch of highway that goes right through his property. He's got property on both sides of a highway, and he's got a 1 mile stretch of highway that's his. And it is straight road before his mile, and then it's way straight after. All right, and his 1 mile stretch, it's straight. All right, so there's no difference in straightness from before his or after. Nothing. It's all straight. And Chuck Zukowski found that there was 16 traffic accident-related deaths on his 1 mile stretch. And when I was advised of that, it kind of changed the whole investigation. I didn't know what I had, but I definitely had to get Mama Sue out. So next, like day or two later, out comes Mama Sue. Meets Tom, and for the first time she meets Tom, says, oh, you were taken when you were a young child. First thing she said to him. And she said that they're more interested in you than they are the cows. Said that in the first meeting. We take her out to the site of this mutilation, where I was taken before. We walk her down, and she picks up a bone, asks if she could pick it up, and he picks it up, and immediately picks up on the cow's fear. Her voice starts quivering. Every hair on her arms are standing up, goosebumps, I can see them. And she picks up on the cow's fear, said how scared the cow was, and then said, and points right to where the cow was found, and said it was a craft that came in. You know, and it came in, and it was about 30 feet off the ground, and a light came out and fully encompassed the cow. This light, beam of light, fully encompasses the cow. And in a split second, quicker than a split second, the cow's gone, the ship's gone, everything's gone. And they said that they do all this mad scientist crazy stuff to the cow. And they said when the cow is brought on board, immediately upon being brought on board, the blood is evacuated from the cow and the cow is killed. That quick. And they do this stuff, and when they bring the cow back, they don't leave it nicely, is what she said. Now, on the way out, she said she knew nothing about cattle mutilations. All right? I didn't want her to know. Just wanted to see what she picked up. Well, for someone who don't know anything about cattle mutilation, she sure said some profound things. And she said they're using the blood to try to create an autonomous being, but it doesn't have a soul. I took her out to the site of this car accident, and Tom had mentioned there was a car accident that he witnessed, and he could bring us right to the scene of, right to the site of where the car came to rest, where this woman was killed. And he witnessed the accident. Said the vehicle was traveling eastbound, and he saw it. He took his eyes off it for just a split second, but didn't even turn his head. And when his eyes went back on it, the car was elevated about 4 feet off the ground. It started turning at an angle, and when it hit the ground, it started rolling. And this woman was killed. She had 2 daughters with her. The daughters lived. They came down the road and called 911 or whatever. And so I had to get her out to the site of that. So I did. She gets out there, and she had no idea who was involved, male, female, nothing. And she said this woman was driving down the road, and confusion overtook her. And she had to even ask herself out loud, am I driving? What am I doing? About that time, the steering wheel was jerked out of her hand. The car hits the ground, she says, like it was the elevator or something, and then it rolls, crashes. When the woman is killed, she sees her own body, and she's still in a state of confusion. She freaks out and runs away from the scene. She said that she's currently looking for her daughters. She didn't know, Sue didn't know that she had daughters with her, but said that currently looking for her daughters, doesn't know she's dead, and she returns to this scene often. Sue, in a saw in her mind's eye, this woman walks everywhere she goes, very briskly, she said, like she's trying to get somewhere. And I decided that we probably needed to go out to that site and see if we can make contact with this spirit. I wanted to get a black light on the cows, but the day that I took photos while they were in the corral were the last day I was going to see them, because I didn't know that the rancher was going to put them into a part of the property I couldn't get to. Matter of fact, I didn't even know there was a part of the property I couldn't get to. But they, in this part of the property, they scatter all over. It would take me a decade to find 42 head of cow and get a black light on. So it's kind of screwed everything up, because it was just at the very beginning of the investigation. It was like day one, really. He was out, he said, hey, I got them corralled, and I was able to luckily get the photos that I got. And they released them into this back part of the property in June. And so we started going out to this site, this vehicle accident. And we went out, and we went out, and we went out. And then one day, she gets the name 4 times, Maria Elena. And that was it that night. Nothing else. Then, that was June 28th. We came out several more times, July 24th. Sue gets out of the vehicle and says, I get something. I'm getting something. But it's weak. Well, I have an EMF pump, which is a pump that gives a spirit energy. That's what it claims when I bought it. And so I asked Sue if I should pull that out and see if it would work. Maybe give them enough power to manifest a response. So she said, yeah, try it. So I pulled it out, turned it on, put it on the hood of my Jeep, turned on my EMF detector, went over it, and it pegged it. My EMF detector pegged it. And I stepped back with my EMF detector about 1.5 feet, 2 feet, and it stopped picking it up because EMF waves are very short. So I stood back about probably 8, 10, 12 feet, something like that, making sure I was well far away from it with my EMF detector. We sat there for a couple minutes, and then Sue says that she saw a male and a female spirit walk between me and her. She got a really good look at the female. She said she was Hispanic, cowboy hat, about 5'5", 5'8", hard to tell because of the cowboy hat. And so she asked that spirit, that female spirit, to come back and touch the device that I'm holding in my hand. And so this, all of a sudden, my EMF detector starts lighting up right after she asked her to do that. Now, my EMF detector hadn't been lighting up at all. I mean, at all. It's no interference. I can tell you that, no interference, and it was sitting in my hand in one position, and it started lighting up. And we are 20 miles out in the middle of nowhere on the side of a road. She tells that female spirit to go to the blue light on my Jeep, hood of my Jeep, touch it, and she'll get energy. And then come back and, let us know she did it. And took about the same amount of time to walk to the Jeep and back, and my EMF detector lights up again. She asked if this woman's name was Maria or Marie. It was one of the two, Marie or Maria Elena. And this woman lights up the device, identifying herself as Marie or Maria Elena. But she was leery of us, and Sue broke off communication by just asking her if we can come back another time. She didn't want to push her. And she lit it up, letting us know we can come back. All right. So now we're in contact with a spirit out there, claiming to be Marie or Maria Elena. And I started looking that name up, couldn't find anything related. Something similar in the obituaries, but it wasn't the same woman, bottom line. And it was a couple weeks later, Mama Sue calls me. Says, Greg, I was on my phone on Facebook, and a request to join a missing persons group popped up out of Arizona. I don't know why I clicked on it. I never click on those things, but I clicked on it, and Greg got popped a photo of a woman immediately. Not a homepage, not anything else, just a photo of a woman. And when the woman, I immediately recognized as the woman that walked by me and you, Greg. She said, I had to scroll up to the name to see what the name said. The name, Marie Lena Ogeen. Marie Lena being one word, M-A-R-I-E-L-E-N-A. Marie Lena. Whoa. missing out of Arizona. Thought she was involved in a traffic accident. Well, I looked up that name, couldn't find anyone missing out of Arizona by that name. So we go out to that site armed with that information, and we confront this spirit with this information, saying, hey, we thought you died in a traffic accident. You know, did you die in a traffic accident out here? She said, no. I was coming out of a convenience store in Phoenix, Arizona. 2 women feigning vehicle trouble lured me to the vehicle. When I got there, a short time after, one of them jammed a needle in my neck, incapacitating me. They then transported me to Raton, New Mexico, and there they met up with 3 Mexican male individuals, one of which wearing a cowboy hat, one of which wearing a machete, maybe one and the same. Got a first name of Jose and a first name of Robert. And these 3 men were under contract to deliver this woman somewhere. And instead, they take her somewhere in Colfax County, sexually assault her. And during the assault, she starts coming out of her chemical restraints, starts fighting them. Sue said she put up one hell of a fight and kicked one in the throat, and she was able to break free, and she was running away. The one with the machete heaved it at her, and it got her in the the left arm, specifically the left arm, and all but severing her left arm. Now she's bleeding like really bad, and now everything's ruined, and so they decide they got to kill her. So they hold her down and they decapitate her with the machete, and they dismember her body parts with the use of that machete, and they put her parts in black plastic bags. And during the assault, the one with the cowboy hat was making her wear it, and during the assault it got blood on it. Well, they took all that, put her in and they transported her, and they could have went anywhere. Man, they could have went anywhere. They're in Raton, somewhere in Raton. All right? And there are so many roads between Raton and Highway 350 East, mile marker 6.4. But they went right to where we're doing the investigation, where all these paranormal events are occurring on this ranch, and they throw her body parts into this river. And then I didn't know what to think. I thought, I'm looking at crossing a spirit over because she was involved in a traffic accident, but now I'm told that she was murdered and thrown out here, and she's still missing. But I can't find anything under Marie Lena O'Gean. Nothing. A couple weeks later, Sue's at home, and she has a nephew, has abilities, lives with her. She doesn't discuss anything about this case with her relatives at all. And this kid, nephew, walks up and says, Aunt Sue, I don't know if this means anything, but a female spirit whispered in my ear to tell you that you got the right person but wrong name. The name you're looking for is Monica Kika Chavez. So she calls me, gives me this information, and I look it up, and there is a flood of flyers and information about Monica Renee Chavez, nicknamed Kika, alias Kika, missing without a trace, last seen January 2nd and 3rd, Last time seen it, January 3rd at 6:45 p.m. She was seen at 3 locations. All right, her last known 3 locations, all right, that she was seen at. And I Google Earth those 3 last locations. They were intersections. Right there, man. Every intersection there was a convenience store there. There is a convenience store there. Man, things are starting to match up, and I'm not trying to make more of this than what it is or anything, but things starting to match up. Missing without a trace matches up with the way she was kidnapped. I mean, if you don't tell someone you're going somewhere and you're coming out of that place and you get abducted and consequently killed, if no one had witnessed that abduction, yeah, you're missing without a trace. You were last seen at this time. Well, they throw her into this river. All right, that doesn't make sense either. This river don't run. It's a non-running river, man. It's like dry most of the time. You know, it's dry during this investigation. It's been dry. She was last seen January 3rd, 6:45 p.m., Phoenix, Arizona. January 4th at 10 a.m. in the morning, they opened up the Trinidad Lake Dam. They came out early morning hours of January 5th and looked over that bridge. It looked like a flowing river. It was over the floodplain and everything. So they threw her in, and the cowboy hat. And they just wanted to dump her, and they didn't know where they were at because it's within spitting distance of a prison. You can see the lights of the prison out there. No one would go out there. I mean, no. So this all spurs everything. I mean, this, you know, first thing I do is I contact, after I started looking some things up, matching some things up, and got as much information as I thought I was going to be able to get, I contacted the Phoenix Police Department first. Now, I did that for one reason, all right? And I didn't explain it to the sheriff here in Los Angeles County that there might be a body thrown in that river and we need to get cadaver dogs out there. He ain't going to buy that story enough to get cadaver dogs out there based off of just what we're getting. But I figure I get better of a response from Phoenix Police Department because they're the ones that took the report. They're the ones that know she, I mean, I don't have to describe that she's a real person to him. He knows it. And I told him my background, what I was doing, why I was even out there, the whole story, all the way down to being thrown in the river, and the cowboy hat. First thing he says is, I hope you don't think I'm going to send you cadaver dogs, so that ain't going to happen. And then the next thing he says is, nothing you've told me is actionable. And you can't use the word actionable on an ex-cop or another cop. All right? That's a $5 word for, I ain't gonna do shit, I'm a lazy son of a bitch. And I ain't gonna look into this. That's what that is. It's a $5 word. He probably got on sale for $2.50. And I've got no assistance from him. He told me to tell me what you find. If you find anything down there, let me know and we might match some things up. All right, well, I really needed some help somewhere. And basically, he's leaving it up to two disabled people to bring his case to a close. I mean, he advised, or I advised him that, well, I advised him a couple things, man. I was like, you know, the last 3 known locations she was at all had a convenience store. She said she was coming out of a convenience store when she was abducted. He said, oh yeah, well there's a lot of convenience stores here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of Walmarts, Super Saves, Walmarts, shoe stores, liquor stores, churches, bars, hotel, you name it. But she didn't say she was coming out of one of those. She didn't say she was coming out of a shoe store or a bar. She said she was coming out of a convenience store. But he's going to leave it up to us. So, Snake Eyes. I've been in contact with a buddy of mine, Dan Lindholm, of Big Truth, and he's been a consultant of mine through this whole project from the very beginning of the concept of this idea. Told him about it. And he came all the way out from Oregon to help me look for this body out here. And we did. We looked, man. Couldn't find anything. Thought for sure we'd find something. But when we got down there, there's so much overgrowth down there. And so much debris that we could have walked right over her and not seen her. We truly need a dog. Even if we walked right over her, we probably wouldn't see her. That's what we learned in the area that we were searching. But we tried anyways, because here's the thing. I look at it like this. Yeah, it's a needle in a haystack, but it might be as easy as just going down there and looking. You know, it could be that easy. You ain't gonna know, I guarantee you ain't gonna know if you don't try it. So we tried. Last day I go to the sheriff, and last day of the search, and said, man, we could really use some help. Told him the whole story. Told him, yeah, I could hear myself telling him the story. I used to work with the sheriff. I worked with him. And he was just a sheriff's deputy. And he said he'd call one of the search teams for the dogs, and he couldn't guarantee anything, and I've yet to hear from him. You know, and I know he tried, but man, it's a rough sell. You know, I mean, if you don't believe in psychics and all that other stuff, man, I get it, you know, but they didn't even go down as much as look. But we went out, we tried, you know, we used the spirit out there to try to guide us, but she gave us a run around, and long story on that, but couldn't find her. And Dan had some experiences out there, and while Dan was there, long story short, we came in contact with a family of Sasquatch. Since that night, we have been in psychic contact, or Sue has been in psychic contact with this family of Sasquatch. That blew us away. That was the first night Dan was there, and Dan does Sasquatch investigations, and you know, there was indication that our friends in the sky that we've been communicating with had a relation. They said they had a relation with Sasquatch. And all this stuff's in a report. Since that night, I've been out gifting apples to to Oma. We found out they liked the name Oma. And since that night, we'd go out, when me and Mama Sue would go out, we'd ask them, "Did you take the apples?" Last time we asked, they didn't want to answer because they didn't want to hurt my feelings. Now, we've been in contact with, I call them our friends in the sky, and we asked them what we can call them. They said friends. They're the Greys. The Greys. And things have been happening since the day that we went out there, and I found, Sue in the very beginning of this said I was going to learn things about myself that I never knew. Things are going to be revealed to me about things that I didn't know. And that's the whole reason for this particular video and why I'm re-describing things again. Because, I've been getting these holy cow thoughts that hit me. And I've learned that those kind of thoughts are inspired by my friends. I've also learned that there's going to come a point where I'm in direct communication with them. But I'm not at this point. But they have been influencing my thoughts. Now, one of my thoughts, okay, because first of all, nothing happens on that ranch by accident. Nothing. And I had to try to find out, I was thinking what the spirit of a murdered woman involved in a human trafficking ring had to do with extraterrestrial abduction, cattle mutilations, portals, all sorts of stuff. How does that relate? How does this tie in? Because it wasn't by accident she was thrown there. There's no way it was by accident. Well, it hit me. And it's not because I was smart. It hit me because they inspired my thoughts. And it hit me that Monica is down there by design. And her only role in this whole thing is to vindicate Sue as a psychic. That's it. Because we have already notified everybody and alerted everyone about Monica's presence down there, and no one believes us. All right? I believe that the night that they threw her body in the river, Oma took possession of those body parts. And we weren't supposed to find those parts at the time that Dan was here looking. Why? Because we didn't know why we were down here in the first place, which we're going to get to. So, we asked them what an orb is, how it related to them, and they said it's an orb is spirit energy, and they called about that energy to create this lightning strike for me. That's why we asked them about what an orb is, because there was video where I asked them for a lightning strike, and they did to show their, prove that they're watching me, and they gave it to me right then too. And it didn't have thunder attached to it, no thunder. And it was a weak strike, like one I'd never seen before. And when I put it in an editing software to highlight the edges of the lightning so I could see the lightning strike better, because you couldn't see it that well, I saw a bunch of orbs. Like 4 or 5, something like that. 3, 4 went by. I want to know if those had anything to do with them. And that's what they told us. Yeah, they're spirit energy. They called upon that energy to create my lightning strike. We asked Oma if they were aware when our friends in the sky came and took the cows. But our friends in the sky answered that. They said that Oma is planetless. It came from a planet long, long ago. They were rescued off of this planet that was destroyed. They brought the surviving Oma to this planet to live here and interdimensionally. Believe that. Believe this one. All right, that the male that we're in contact with is over 1,000 years old. And they're here to report on us. Are they aware when they come and take the cows? Well, they're the ones, Oma are the ones that choose which cows next to be taken. I don't know if it's that way on every single mutilation everywhere in the world, but I know they use Omaha here to mark these cows. All right, they have a sophisticated piece of equipment that scans the cow and tells them everything they need to know about that cow, and if it's suitable to be taken, it's got to meet requirements. And if it is, then they sneak up on it, catch it off guard, and they mark it. All right, they mark it with something that comes off of their hand. Don't know if they put it on their hand before they go out or what, but it's visible with a black light. That's how it's done. And they told us all that. They told us all that because they wanted to get out of the way with why we were even there. And it wasn't to solve the cattle mutilations, because they just solved them for us. Just told them how they happen, how they're being done. They said that I was chosen, along with Dan Lindholm and Sue. We were chosen long ago to do this exact task. And Mama Sue told me that I've got abilities. Listen, I'm not trying to be Sue. I'm not trying to be psychic or magical or anything, because I got into the paranormal investigations and I wanted to find answers. No, man. I didn't want to be part of the story. Tried not being. Matter of fact, one night I thought I might have been taken, so when we were in communication with them one night, I asked Sue to ask them for me if, they had taken me. And they told me I was taken when I was a younger man. Well, I told Sue a long time before this that in this dream when I was 8 years old, and I was looking at this craft that was in the air, looked like an aircraft carrier, moving really slow. Thought it was just a dream, but it just stuck with me all my life. It was over our ranch and everything. Well, I'm telling my mom this story that they said I was taken when I was a younger man. And my mom says, or it's my stepmom. She said, and my dad just died a couple years ago. She said, your dad said he was taken. Now, my dad wouldn't just say he was taken if he wasn't. And I said, what? I mean, he never told me. When did this happen? She said when he lived on the ranch. That's where I had that dream. I was living on a ranch. All right. And the important part about that is my dad moved off the ranch when I was 11. So it puts him on the ranch when I had that dream. Now, we were advised, Mama Sue was advised that they took me and my dad at the same time because we shared something in our genetic makeup where we were more alike than not. And they chose me for this task, and they've been testing me all my life, my character, my ethics and values. They were responsible for getting me sick in 2008, I discovered. That's another holy cow thing that came to me, and I had to ask Mama Sue to ask them, but I knew the answer. I knew it. They revealed it to me in a way. But it hit me, and that's why I asked Mama Sue to confirm it for me. And they got me sick in 2008. Why? Well, for two reasons. Number one, to slow me down, because I needed to be doing this. And number two, to teach me humility. Well, in 2008, I was married, owned a home, was a cop. By 2010, I was divorced, homeless, living in my dad's basement. And I moved all over the place, from Tacoma, Washington, Ogden, Utah, to California, Northern California. I lived in Nice, California. I lived in Middletown, California, Clear Lake, California, Eureka, California. And then my ex-wife, out of the blue, pays to move me back here. Her and her husband paid to move me back here. so I can be close to my daughter. Who does that? And they also bought me the Jeep, so I didn't have a car payment. Who does that? Well, there's reasons behind all that. I don't want to get into it, but it's just they helped me out. And I was back here, and I formed this idea when I got back to do this plan, and I started reviewing my life and how I was guided and how I worked so hard in car sales for a year, man, but I didn't make it. I didn't make one of those $12,000, $13,000 checks that everyone else got there that wasn't even put in half the effort I was. But because I wasn't supposed to be doing that. There was a reason why I was there. All right? I learned a method at this dealership that made this happen. If I wouldn't have followed that method, I don't think this would have ever happened this way. And there's reasons for everything. Everything is so intricate, these lessons that I've learned. And I've been put in situations throughout my life where I could have done the right thing or the wrong thing. Where I was on a call where a ton of money was there, and a ton of money. And $3,700 in a little visor pocket and $30,000 in a briefcase. And I couldn't wait to tell the cop. So, I didn't even think about taking that money. It wasn't even a thought in my mind, man. Something, I've never been a thief. I always try to do the right thing. But I've made mistakes along the way, and they've had to correct me. All right, because Sue says I've got these abilities that I'm going to have here soon that I think requires me to have that kind of character. But I don't know. But since all this stuff has been revealed to us, they also told us that the world's coming to an end. It's going to start with the water supply and the air supply going bad. We asked them if it's over time or an event. Like, do we pollute our water so bad that over time? They said, no, it's an event. Chemical warfare. What we got so far is COVID-19 was China's failed attempt at launching chemical warfare against the United States. Got out. But that's the beginning. But an event's going to happen. That's going to make our water and air supply, something happen to it, where we need to wear respirators and have something in our house to help us breathe. And it's going to make the water, it can't be undrinkable unless you buy it from stores. And then there's an event, and Sue sees the ground caving in. Well, I've been meditating over the last 3 months. I was trained in transcendental meditation when I was 14. Probably no coincidence on that either. And I've been meditating, and in my meditations, I've been getting these things, floods of emotions coming through for me too, and that doesn't happen at all for me, especially meditating, because you're not really thinking of anything, but my life has been playing through, and they're telling me to let everything here go on earth. Let everything go. That's what they're telling me in my meditations. I could be wrong. Listen, I'm not trying to be self-important at all, because I ain't. I'm a big fat nobody. All right? I'm nobody. People don't listen to me, and I can care less if I'm even breathing, most of them. And we got to get this message out. And what they're telling us to do is not really, there's nothing we can do about this. Everything's been set in motion. COVID-19 was set everything in motion, I think. Sue said they're going to be taking me for communication purposes, but then they're going to be taking me again, but that time it's going to be permanent. It's going to be well before this event. What I've been getting is people are going to think I'm dead, but I'm not. They revealed to Sue that they're going to make it up to me. I have an important role to play. They're going to make it up to me for getting me sick, but man, I tell you what, I needed the lesson of humility. I am a happier man because of everything I went through in my life after getting sick. I was in misery for like 6 years, man, and nothing went right for me. I could win $1,000 and the next day get billed $3,000. Even though I never won any thousand, but I'm just saying that just, if I stopped on a dime, I'd owe it to somebody. Nothing worked out for me. I couldn't get promoted anywhere. I couldn't get a girlfriend. I couldn't get nothing in California, anywhere. No one wanted anything to do with me. I thought, man, I was repulsive. I think, I don't really speak highly of myself. I don't. I'm not good looking or anything like that. No women are interested in me because I don't have anything to offer. You know, I don't have a job right now. I'm on disability, you know, pension, and I think that's by design. I don't think I was supposed to have anyone. I think my daughter was supposed to be good with it, being raised by another man because I won't be here soon. But I think they're interested in her too. And I don't know. I could be completely wrong, man. Could be completely wrong about all this. The crazy thing is I believe it, man. I don't think beyond 4 years anymore. I don't even think beyond 3. Information that I've gotten has changed what I thought I was going to do if I ever got help with disability, because I can't work, and if I ever got a chunk of money, I was going to do this and that, but you know, not no more. No, man, it's about this, and I believe that I'm going to have a conscious decision to make. But it started one night where I woke up one morning. I don't even know what time I woke up. I know I took a nap because I had my leggings on that night, my cold weather leggings. Usually I don't have those on when I'm going to sleep, but let's just say there was evidence that they took my semen. They took my semen. There was evidence. There was no doubt about it. It wasn't me. You don't just expel that. It does like that amount. It just doesn't happen, especially if you don't feel it. Nothing. But I called Sue. Said, hey, man, this strange thing, crazy thing happened. It's embarrassing to tell her, but I had to tell her. It's embarrassing talking about it right now. She said she'd tune in. 2 days later, I'm asleep. I'm being pulled from my bed. I don't feel like I'm being pulled from my bed. I'm being pulled from my bed. I'm being pulled up and out. And then I'm put on my back. And I went from a dark room into a lit area, but with my eyes open, I still couldn't see anything. It was like there was something over my eyes preventing me from seeing clearly at all, even though my eyes were open. But I knew I was in a lit room because I could see the light, but that was it. I knew something there was around me, and I wasn't afraid. I was telling myself I was being taken. I was even digging my finger into my, into my thumb, trying to cause pain, which it was. I don't know. I mean, that's just, it was all in a dream-like state that this happened, but all real. Not like any dream I've ever had. I was being restrained a little bit. I wasn't frightened. I asked for it. I don't call it being abducted. You can't abduct the willing. I've always told them they can take me. Well, they have already when I was a young kid. Now they just recently took me. And they're going to be doing it again. And then for communication purposes, and then the next time they take me, it'll be permanent. But people are going to think I'm dead again. And I'm doing this so eventually it gets out, that I'm not dead. That there's more, that they want us to get out this message to get people in the right frame of mind, because there's nothing that's going to do to stop this. And they're trying to get through to us the importance of telling people how important it is for them to be a good person right now. It has everything to do with being a good person. Listen, I don't think I'm perfect by any means. I've tried to be a good person all my life. I had to go through everything I had to go through to become the man I am today. Because I was an asshole. Before, I was cynical. I saw the worst in people as a paramedic and a cop, and I just had a bad outlook on life. But they set me right. I had to learn what it's like to be homeless. Not everyone chooses to be homeless. Everyone's got a story. Everyone. Next guy you see homeless, and you want to put them down, you look at it and you think, what if that's Jesus? And then you got to ask yourself, are you ready when Jesus comes? I hope I am. I'm doing my best. You got to be ready for Jesus to come, guys. Because he's coming. He's going to spare the righteous, the honest, the good, the believers. God is there. God is real. I've learned that more lately than I ever have. Even though I've gone to church, and Mama Sue is an angel sent by God. If there's anyone that's a living angel, it's her. She's got a close relationship with him. Close. Everything's come clear to me. Why I did, why things happened in my life the way they did. By design, I don't have a job right now, so I can do this full time. That's by design, where I just do this full time. But it hit me. How it's going to go down, I think, and that it's important I get this out, this video out even. Because me being missing, me being gone, I'm not gone. I'm still alive. My consciousness is probably in another body or something. I don't know what. I'm not making this stuff up, man. But people are going to think I'm dead, and people are going to need to believe. People are going to need to believe. You know, it's not about going out to be a good person so you can get to be in heaven, because the world's ending. Like, if you find out, I mean, if you truly believe me that the world's going to be coming to an end, and it's going to be coming to an end in about 4 years. It's going to start with the water and the air supply, but then there's going to be an event. Now, I believe they got a tectonic weapon, whatever, the China, North Korea maybe, probably China. Direct energy weapon, something that liquefies the ground. Makes everything sink. But it changes the landscape, I think, and it just caused a chain reaction, then caused the Yellowstone to go. That caused a worldwide blackout. I mean, that's just things that I'm seeing. I don't know if maybe I'm wrong. Completely wrong. I don't think I am, man. I might be wrong about how it's going to go down, but it's going to go something like that. Ground's going to just cave in. There's something that liquefies the ground. I don't know what. I don't know how it's even possible. But certain people are going to be spared, and if you believe me, and let's say you're not a good person right now, and you believe me, and all of a sudden you run down and start feeding the homeless real quick, you're doing it for the wrong reason. All right, let me tell you, the first thing you need to do, if you believe me, is go in to your bathroom and take a good look at yourself in the mirror. You got to take a good look at yourself in the mirror and ask, what kind of person am I? And you got to be honest with yourself, because if you lie to yourself, you can lie to yourself all you want, telling yourself you're a good person. But you know what? You'll be telling yourself you're a good person after everyone else is taken. That was good. You got to truly, it's got to mean it right here. You've got to mean it here. You got to be truly for other people too. Now, I'll be the first to say, people in general suck. All right? I hate to say it, man, but the first thing that you need to do in a apocalyptic situation is get away from other people. Why? I'll tell you why. Because you'll be in church praying right next to the guy you've been praying to for 50 years, right next to him. You're sitting in the same pew for 50 years, and you're praying, and an apocalyptic event happens right in the middle of a prayer. And he figures it out before you do. He'll hit you over the head with the Bible to go home and get your shit. That's how people have turned. This world has turned evil. I mean, think of Sodom and Gomorrah. Every reason why that city was destroyed. Well, you can get that reason in 2 clicks of a mouse. Think about that. You want to see every single sin in the world? www. And you'll find it. People, they see crafts in the sky, and they see there's more UFO sightings. People are afraid. They think that the UFOs are going to come get us. And they're going to think that they're thinking that they're going to come get us. See, we're idiots. All right? They come, and they've given us this message. Okay? Think about this. If I was in my 2003 Jeep Grand Cherokee, And it was a time machine. I had this little time machine in my Jeep. And I had to go back to the 1700s to give someone an important message. And I get there, tell them this message, and all they care about is my 2003 Jeep Grand Cherokee and the technology behind it and how they can use it against their enemy. They don't want to listen to the message. They just care about the 2003 Jeep Grand Cherokee and shit, you know what? We can drive this thing around and run people right over. We don't even have to shoot a bow at them. We can run them over with this thing. That's the first thing people would think in the 1700s. So, that's people. Think about what we've become. That the only reason we have peace right now is because we obtain the ability to blow the earth up 1,000,000 times. But what if there's a country that has that ability that doesn't have a conscience like, not saying we have a great conscience either. I think we, listen, look at what we've become. Every nation has got borders and walls and missiles and defenses, and it's not even defenses from people from another planet, it's from our own selves. People worried about friends in the sky coming and getting us? No, man, we got to worry about ourselves. We're too stupid. All right? We developed the United States Space Force. And what is the first thing that we do? Weaponize space. Well, I can tell you right now, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out. All right? Our kind right now isn't wanted out there. Our kind of friendship, want our kind of friendship. Kind of friendship where, yeah, you just smile at them because if you don't, you're going to get blown up. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm not trying to be on a soapbox, man. I'm just saying what, in a nutshell, what's all happened to us. And listen, I was an offender of a lot of things back in the day. But man, there was events that changed me, man, that I had to turn to God first. Because I couldn't get anything done without His help. That was the first thing. And I truly had to mean it. And it took everything. I had to lose everything, including my dog. When I lost my dog, I finally turned to God. When I should have turned a long time ago, because he was sending up warning flares and signals telling me the whole time he was there, but I wouldn't listen. I had to become homeless to understand that people, all have a story. They don't all choose to be homeless. There's people out there that they fell on hard times, but they didn't have an uncle or an aunt or a grandma or a grandpa or a dad or a mom to move in with. They just got put out to the street because they didn't have anyone to pick them up. Now, there's people out there that are homeless that as soon as they start talking, you know why they're homeless. But there's others, but even them. We're all God's children. And we've gotten away from our roots, man. Way away. We're all going to learn real soon. Mark my words. I started this as to document some of the things that happened to me when I was taken. What I think is going to happen to me. And I'm going to be giving more updates, as we go, but I kind of want to lay out some things and so you understand where I'm coming from. In case, for whatever reason, I ain't here anymore. And people are wondering what happened. Well, here's proof. Even if they find my body somewhere, that ain't me. I'm still alive. And there's something greater out there for all of us. I don't know what yet. I don't even know. For me, I don't know what I'm not trying to be self-important. I'm no prophet. I'm no anything. I'm a big fat nobody. But what I got to do, I don't know. But I tell them that I'm ready for it. I told them I worship only the Lord. I worship only the Lord God in heaven, but I serve our friends in the sky and everything they want me to do to accomplish to get this out. And what I'm supposed to do. And what Mama Sue's supposed to do, and what Dan Lindholm is supposed to do. We're all part of this. There's another person coming to this group that's been chosen. Don't know who that is yet. We'll know. But, I've stopped trying to figure things out all the way. When they come to me because I think there's something beyond anything I can even imagine what's going to happen here. And it's all going to start real soon. We got 4 years, 3 to 4 years, and that's it. I don't know what to tell you. That's just what we're getting. I just want to solve cattle mutilations. We solved that, but that's who cares now? See, they were doing all that to save us. 16 traffic accident-related deaths. Oh, they were trying to observe the human spirit leave the body, capture it, and put it into an autonomous being. Why, you ask? Well, more than likely because they're trying to save humanity at the last second, and they capture all these spirits. You can transport a lot of spirits in a ship versus a lot of bodies that have to be fed and clothed and everything else. So their plan was to take spirits and put them into an autonomous being in another place, I think, but it didn't work. It's not working. And they're telling everyone to get right in the mind. Telling everyone to get right because that's it. Just get good. Become a good person. For my friends and family, I don't have much family left, but there's more out there. And gotta have faith. And buy yourself a mirror.